I realize that I am not cut out for social media. Despite the fact that I've had social media for a few years, I found it becoming too much of a distraction. The more time I spent on it, the less things I got done throughout the day. This led to a question I've become curious about. How is social media affecting us negatively? I see how it hurts the current generation and how it distracts younger kids, so how is it affecting us? So first off, social media damages social interaction, and teenagers and children spend way too much time on social media as it is. I know a lot of adults walk around and they see kids on their phones. Kids are on Instagram, kids are on Snapchat. They're sending some of their latest, most recent updates of like, hey, I did this, or hey, I did that, and they're constantly on their phones. So this, is kind of concerning on a sense, because adults are like, they're really not communicating with anyone face to face. So according to New York Behavioral Health, children ages 8 through 18 spend over 7.5 hours a day on social media. Think about that. Usually, people are only up between 12 or more hours. That's over half the day spent on a phone. And that doesn't mean all kids spend this much time on a phone, but it's actually pretty ridiculous if you think about how long that is. That's over half of your day that you're awake. It's insane. So parents and other important figures are not getting as much real interaction with their children, which that's what a lot of adults had problems with when social media kind of, started to become big in the first place. They're like, hey, you're not talking to me, we're not having a, face-to-face interaction. It's not really building up their communication skills very well, because they can just text on their phone. They don't have to see people face-to-face, so why, worry about it? A lot of downtime is spent on social media. I know when I had social media, I do have one social media. I have Facebook just to keep up with family and friends, because I have family in different parts of the country, so I'd like to stay updated. But other things like Instagram, I don't have. That was probably my worst one, because I could sit there for hours and just scroll through it, and that's the thing that's horrible about it. But one good thing about social media, though, is that you can see the good things in the world. It does promote small businesses. You can keep up with friends and family, as I said. There's a lot of different things you can do with social media. Secondly, social media opens a new door for child predators, pedophiles, school shooters, and etc. Anyone that has any bad intentions can get on social media and put whatever they want on there. It's not like anyone's going to immediately restrict it. It's going to go out there to the world. At least some people will see it before it gets shut down. Threats and child ensnaring tactics on social media often go unnoticed. I know there's been many times. I remember one specific example was when I was probably in 7th grade, and an account was actually put up and started bullying just random people. They'd take pictures of them and start bullying them. And I remember there was like a call to action to try to get them, blocked or reported, and it took several days. And these people just continued to post pictures of people and bully them. It was horrible. And so, according to PureSite.com, 75% of teens are willing to share their personal information online. Again, over half of teenagers. It's crazy. Think about that. Over half of teenagers, 3/4 of teenagers. So let's say you have 4 teenagers, 3 of them will be willing to just tell somebody, hey, I live in this town. I remember back when I was younger, when MySpace was a thing, my sister and brother would make up towns that they lived in instead of actually putting the right one. Parents are concerned about what their kids see and put online. So anyone can see what you post, especially if you're not a private account. Anybody can come on there and just, browse through your things. If you were to post a picture of maybe, your house with your address in the back of it, anybody could come up to your house and snoop around or, worse, hurt your family. I mean, that would be horrible. And so, one of the bad things about social media, you're going to have cyberbullying. There's still the problem of child predators, scams. I mean, there's all kinds of things that your kids can get wrapped up in. And it's a horrible thing that we have to deal with this, and we have to worry about these things just by, innocently scrolling through to see how your friends are doing or, whatever favorite shops you like to follow. It's ridiculous. I mean, people are finding so many different ways to get to people. Lastly, no matter how we try to censor it, social media still goes uncensored in places. Parents would like to keep their children away from promiscuous things or just not good things, because a lot of kids, technically, in social media terms, you're supposed to be 13 and older to have social media. Obviously, that's not the case. I've seen so many kids that have had social media before the age of 13. Heck, my sisters had social media before the age of 13. You're seeing kids as young as like 7 and 8 have social media. And Honestly, I think that's a bad move on the parents' part because there's a lot of things that you can be exposed to from social media. You can really never delete anything from the internet. Everything you post or like or comment on is going to be somewhere. It's always archived. So this is something bad as well when kids are sending text messages back and forth. If they're sending private pictures of themselves, this is why people are against this. Chances are it's going to end somewhere else. And that's why it's really not a good idea to send personal pictures of yourself to people that you think you trust or even people that you trust. It's just not a good idea. Children are often exposed to things that are really inappropriate. I know some kids are exposed to things where sometimes, like on Facebook, like a bot or a scam will tag them in something like pornography, and it's really horrible. Especially kids at like young ages that get tagged with stuff and they see this and it's like, children really lose their innocence at a younger age because of social media. Some kids are exposed to things they never even knew. I mean, there's a lot of things that I didn't know when I was young and I saw on social media or figured out what it meant, for that matter, and it's a bad thing because really they should be, things like that should be brought to them in time. In some cases, however, when it comes to, showing images that aren't exactly family friendly, it does expose problems that need to be dealt with in the world, which that's important. And if you see something like, there's a genocide going on in a certain country, hopefully that's, God forbid that happen right now. But if that were to happen and, just bringing awareness about it, that's something that can be, yes, it's not exactly, oh, cupcakes and rainbows, but it could help, somebody could help stop it and bring it to attention. Without the use of social media, it can help promote healthier lifestyles and helps us interact more with others and move more. I know a lot of people, a lot of kids that are really introverted, they like social media because they don't have to communicate face to face, but really it would be a good thing for them to build up how they talk to people and just how it could really better them. And even when it comes to being active, people will sit, as I said, 7.5 hours. I don't think people are moving around doing that. They're probably going to be sitting there or something in their leisure time. So really, it really affects your, the psychological aspect of it, and also affects the physiological aspect of it because it goes hand in hand. Social media is incredibly fast. It's always updating, and no matter how we try to get rid of it, it will continue to stay. So even if we did try to get rid of it, which I highly doubt, it's still going to keep updating. I mean, social media apps are updating every day. I mean, one day Instagram gets stories like Snapchat, and the next day they can add voting and different filters. It's just, they add all kinds of stuff. They update it frequently. So it's just always going to keep going. Social media is accessible anywhere on electronics. So really, it's everywhere. Despite the fact that maybe some people might want to get rid of it, it is everywhere. Looking back on these past few years, how would you say social media has changed our lives? Some people would agree that it has benefited us more than harmed us. Others would say the opposite. Personally, I believe social media is more harm than good. From what I've seen it do to other kids and what it's done to me, I have to say that social media is harming our younger generations as it continues to consume our lives. Thank you.